So let's head straight to the stock market now as we look at the performance of the equities market last week. The NGS All Share Index and market capitalization depreciated by 0.67% to close the week at 47,964.23 and 23.31 trillion naira respectively. The index had fallen from 46,000 or 47,000 or high to 46,000 last week. A turnover or a total turnover of about 1.17 billion unit of shares worth about 16.6 billion naira in about 21,000 deals were traded last week by investors on the floor of the exchange, in contrast to a total of 2.44 billion unit of shares valued about 20 billion naira that the exchange hands the previous week. But let's look at the financial services industry leading the activities chart last week with about 954.47 million units of shares valued about 10.21 billion naira. And if you look at the conglomerate industry, it's a total turnover of about 53.3 million units of shares valued at 258.56 million naira there. Well, the top traded three equities last week include Fidelity Bank in that category, United Bank for Africa PLC, and Gratitude Trust Bank, all from the banking sector there. So it's time to bring in our regular analyst on the show, Mr. Ambrose Omodian. He is the Chief Research Officer, Investor Consulting Limited, to look at the market last week and what to expect this week. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thanks for having me.
Now, give us an overview of the performance of the equities market last week. In one day, we saw the stock market decline, perhaps as a result of buy interest or profit taking with about 109 billion naira.
Yeah.
Give us your return.
Actually, if you look at the market performance for last week, I would say that was a negative sentiment in the market last week. And it's a lot of high cap stocks, selling on investor exiting or kind of taking profit in high cap stocks. This impacted the market negatively. But one thing that the market really just reviewed to investors, that market has just broken down the 47,000 mark, which I said in this program that market have been on the distribution stage or phase. But now that that means it has declined. A decline stage for investor, but that should not send panic to design investor, but rather you look at, is it going to continue in this new week, knowing that this new week is what we call the end of the quarter window dressing, because this at every end of the quarter in any markets of the world, there are what we call financial managers or portfolio managers or fund managers trying to push prices of stock higher so that they can earn higher terms of commission from the people they are managing for. And at the same time, for a company that has the December year end, 31st March is the deadline to release your result. That means from today to Thursday, we've seen kind of stock like Total, Julius Berger, Boasment, and many of the high cap stock releasing their audited result with a corporate action. That might change the face of the market. That might also kind of trigger another positive buying sentiment that could make the market to go back above the 40. But if market can bounce back above the 47,000 mark again, it's good. But if it continues to decline, that means it has confirmed the decline still. But I see, because ahead of 31st is the month of April, and April is what we call another earnings season for first quarter result that ended start for that means between now and end of April, we'll see kind of oscillation considering what is happening internationally. You know that now some part of China, they're already locked down because of another COVID-19 or what they call it. They are all is going to play out globally, and Nigeria is not kind of isolated from this global market. Whatever is happening there is about to influence the market. But the good thing is that our economy still remains on a recovery, but the increase in cost of doing business is what investors also look at. Which sector in the Nigerian economy we're able to manage this kind of high cost and also produce a stronger number or earnings that support the price going to the future? Because CBN on the last MPC said, because they see the impact of this high cost of energy-related products going to impact on the production and manufacturing sector, they are not thinking of how to intervene, in that segment, in that fuel or diesel-related business. If they to do that, That will also bring a little relief. But before they take action is what investors should look at. Which sector have done also backward integration? Because at high prices of a commodity international market is going to impact negatively on those companies that are importing their raw materials into Nigeria. That means for you as an investor, it's time for you to look at which sector will sustain a positive earnings, which group of company also.
Because I was going to go there. Which of the sectors now will sustain a positive earning? But then if you look at almost all through last week, we saw that most of the sectors were in the red. So which of the sectors for this week should investor consider?
Actually, what investors look at is which sector is there high demand for their product. They can easily pass the increase in price to investor. To consumer, sorry.
Consumer,
when they go to consumer, that means even if there's a hike in their price, they're still selling good quantity they are selling. That was also going to impact on the bottom line of that company. Investors, you look at which sector can easily pass their, or the company can pass their high cost of production to their consumer.
So we are looking at the consumer goods this time.
Those even services, there are some services that you can't do without. Those I call it inelastic demand. When you do that, even when you adjust price, they will still demand for your product. Because
but there are sectors or sectors that it's easier for them to pass their
exactly. Why
to the
some,
consumers.
Yes, why some, once you increase price, you drop your sale, that will affect your bottom line. But that's not that if you increase your price, people will still demand. There are some services and some products that you can't do without.
But in these regards, which sector would that be?
Even when there's a kind of a little marginal slowdown, but you still have, I'll tell you, the way you are going, telecoms will be one of them, but I would discuss more in the common master class. Telecom is able to, even when it's even increase, you need to buy you need to make communication, you need to call. You're not going to travel from here to Abuja because you want to go and see somebody. You need to, even though they increase their cost today, you're still going to bear it because their service is essential. And now that we are going global with every country going to digital, their demand for that means they are going to enter new market. For me, this time for you to sit down and say which sector can I equally play defensive, because if this volatility continue and being pre-election year, you should know that you should stay. And also the other thing, that company that has good fundamental that you enter or good technicals, when will I sell? But there are some that they jump early from a good company, and when the company is rallying, you are reflecting, why did I jump up early? Because you don't know exactly. But if you have something to guide you that this company has potential going somewhere, you won't jump early. Rather, you'll be taking your profit slowly. These are what I'm going to discuss in common masterclass.
When you talk about, you've mentioned one of the sectors, which is the telecom.
Yeah.
What's the level now in terms of movement level on the chart at the moment?
It's positive. You can tell the technicals are positive for the telecoms. And don't forget that there are two big telecoms we have in the market. And this also contributed to our GDP. If you are seeing the impact in GDP, also see the impact that's going to also impact on the bottom line of investor at the end of the day. You can see the payout for MTN for their last year, and also we're expecting their Q1 to come. And also I think we'll see also stronger Q1. That will also trigger that for investors. This time for you to start positioning for stock that no matter what happens, the company or the sector will be able to pass the high cost, because as I speak now, this was at almost 800 naira. I'm telling you, it's not a joke. It's going to kind of increase cost of production and another. Then if you also jack your price, or because of that, what will be the reaction of the consumers to your product or your service? Okay.
You talk about the issue of sector and all of that, but let's look at particularly the MTN that you talk about, which we're also expecting their Q1 result to come. So what's your expectation in that regard, and how is investors positioning to take advantage of that? Because I know from time to time you have also said you don't have to wait for the numbers to take position, but you have to take position before the numbers arrive. Yeah,
actually, like as I just said, this is the time we're already at the end of approaching end of the first quarter, Q1 2022. We have seen their full year already. That means this company, there's always a law in the exchange that once the quarter end, you have just 30 days to release your result for quarter end. That means at the end of 31st, that's on Thursday, we'll have the month of April for us to see all their Q1. But you as a design investor should know which sector have seen the trend, from their last year and maintain. And also this year is another year to even assess both the economy and the company, because if you look at the performance for the previous 2 years, 2020 and 2021, compared to what we saw in 2020, because of low activities, we have seen a good kind of a good improvement, or kind of a good margin. But now we're going to see this year we'll know whether the economy is growing or this company maintain that tempo we saw in 2020 and 2021 in terms of any performance. But I'll tell you that few of the companies on the exchange will maintain that tempo of impressive earnings. But it's not done on investors to kind of those companies that maintain that positive momentum and start keying at this point. Because once the market starts seeing the Q1, you see there will be change because they start keying those workers. They ask, oh, this company is going somewhere, let me go with it.
I know it's more than 2 hours into the day's trading already. We'll look at what the market is likely to, pull today in terms of investor sentiment. But before them, I want us to look at the top 5 gainers for last week. All through the last week, we saw Fidelity Bank from the banking sector. We have Len Africa, the Verista Capital Insurance PLC, and then we have FTN Coco performing or leading the chart among the top 5 gainers as well. But for the Fidelity Bank, I mean, one would expect that we should see much of activities. But let's look at what activities should we expect from that particular bank going forward.
Yeah, for me, I see investors kind of a mixed performance now because one, we have traders and investors in that kind of stock, and we're expecting them to release their audited account and announce their payout. But as at unaudited in January, the bank has performed well in a good position. For that, you can see the price have moved from 2 naira 80 kobo to 2 naira 30 kobo. It depends on other payout now that will come. If they decide to pay 40 kobo, the price will rally. If they pay 30 kobo, but I believe that the expected earnings are also be priced into the have been priced into what it was seen today. That means if you have made money, you can take your profit. But if you are still expecting, hold position until you see the results.
Okay, take us through Len Africa PLC and what is likely to. Let's look at the level for this week and the support level we're having for this particular stock. I think in the last 3 weeks, we saw that the stock went up, but all of a sudden, we saw a bit of, profit taking in that stock. So what should we expect this week?
No, we expect that we should expect a miss expectation to a miss performance. What I say so is that we're expecting their unaudited account to come in April because the company has March as year end. And you know that after your end of the last quarter, you have other 30 days to release unaudited, or you have 60 days to release audited. It depends where Len Africa choose to go. If they want to release unaudited, for that means they have after releasing unaudited in April, see around June they can release their audited. But if they choose to not to release unaudited in April, they can decide to release it, in May, before end of the May. That is not easy time. But for me, these earnings that people want to see, and also they are planning primary market activities in Len Africa, or that also determine where the price will go. But for me, if you have made money, you can take profit. But those that want to enter, wait for the stock to pull back and jump in.
Let's wrap up with this one. If you look at the flip side, RT Briscoe, I don't know why we're having it because we saw investors rally for this particular stock in some trading sections in the past few weeks. Then you have a UPDC PLC, Guaranteed Trust Holding Company. Then you have a United Bank for Africa among the worst performing stock for last week. And so what should we expect from some of these? Are we going to see a reversal? Are we going to see a positive investor sentiment towards some of these stocks? And then what should we expect for the week?
For the banking stock there, the UBA and the GT code, I would say because of the markdown price adjustment for the dividend.
Let's try to wrap it up in 30 seconds.
For that, they will expect the price to go up because as the markdown, it becomes cheaper for investor to enter after the markdown, which is good. And also, don't forget that this bank will release their first quarter in April. But for the RT Briscoe you mentioned, I said it earlier that there's no fundamental supporting that stock. If you are seeing that stock up and down, it's for you to trade it technically, know when to take profit and when to jump in there. Because purely it's just market sentiment or market forces that are pushing the price up and down. That means as a trader, know the right price to enter and don't be greedy when you are playing such a yo-yo stocks.
Where do you see the market ending today? Positive or negative?
Yeah, as we're approaching end of the quarter and end of the month, I see market also going in a misdirection. But before the end of the month, market can come back to positive month.
It's all right. Yeah. Let's leave it there. Thank you so much, Mr. Ambrose Amodian, Chief Research Officer, Investor at the Consulting Limited.